What's up, everybody? It's your girl with the vibe, LexiLive, and we are back yet again for another dynamic episode of the vibe segment. We're going to start with our beauty tip of the week, and that is if you are struggling with courage. If you're struggling with courage, that means that you are struggling in your fellowship with God. Your courage comes from your fellowship. Everything comes from your relationship with Him. The more you commune with Him, the more you sup with Him, the more you talk with Him, the more you learn of Him, you'll be courageous to do anything. You can move anything out of your way, any obstacle, you can jump over any obstacle, you can overcome. The more you commune and the more you sup with Him, the more courageous you will be. My thankful thought is I'm thankful for my family. I am thankful for courage in God, confidence in God, and communion with God. What about you, Steve? What are your three thankful thoughts?
I'm thankful to be alive. That's number
Yes,
one.
absolutely.
Here, glad to be in the number one more time. I am grateful for his sustaining power down here on earth, a means of income. And I thank God for the Holy Ghost. I probably should have said that first. But yeah, I thank
Amen.
God for the Holy Ghost to abide down on the inside. Thank God for
Amen.
Jesus.
All three are one.
Yeah, hey, watch yourself now. Yes, ma'am.
So welcome to the vibe segment. It's such an honor to have you with me tonight.
Oh, it's good to be here with you, Miss
Yes.
Alexis. Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you so much for saying yes. So how have you been, first of all, how you've been through this pandemic? Because this is just like
Mm,
a
different.
yes.
It's different. So, maintaining. I'm adjusting. In the beginning, it was very, very difficult to adjust to a sudden shift in life. Um, but I'm maintaining. Adjusting was the word I used earlier in the spring, and now I'm at a point where okay, all right, this is what it is for right now. So we're just going to find a way to make it work. Period.
Hmm.
Every aspect of like church, school, extracurriculars, we're gonna find a way to make it work.
Find a way to make it work. It's funny because we named this year the year of shift.
Oh,
And then
what a
like
shift it's been to.
what a
Oh,
change.
oh, come on, watch yourself. Come on here. Yes, ma'am.
So how have with because we're here talking about overall education.
Mhm.
So with the pandemic in school, we know that the overall topic is like the virtual learning and things like that. How do you feel virtual learning is impacting our children at
Mm,
this point?
yeah. So the long-term effects we have yet to know, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Um, First of all, shout out to my siblings who
Oh
are
yes, yes,
who are
yes.
going
Let
to
us,
do.
let us. We were supposed to have all the Flemings, and they were not able to be with us tonight. So we definitely want to shout them out and send them our love
Yes,
wherever they are. We love y'all, and it'll be other times. There will be others.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So yeah, I think to answer your question, the long-term effects are have yet to be known.
Yeah.
In the interim, in the right now and the right here and now, I hear from them a lot. I hear a lot of their opinions. Many don't like it at all.
Hmm.
They hate it. They rather be with their friends. They'd rather be in their school buildings. They'd rather the face-to-face interaction. Some kids have even come straight out and say, I don't learn this way.
Hmm.
And these are so context. So I teach high school to elementary
Hmm.
school for 10 years, been in high school for 4 years, Martin Luther King High School. Hey, um,
Hey.
MLK from John B. Kelly. So, they're very opinionated about it all, and they have no qualms whatsoever letting me know just how it's working in general. I
Right.
think the vibe might be a little different in my room, young brother, uh, young children of color. So the
Right.
vibe's a little different. So they kind of look forward to it. But in general, I think they would give it a C or worse if they had to grade
Yeah.
the online experience.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Overall. And so that just like speaks to your age group, but what about the age groups that really can't advocate for
Yeah,
themselves
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and are like home with parents who are like super duper short tempered? What if it's more than one kid in the house, right?
mhm,
So we
right.
got a high schooler, we got a middle schooler, and then we got grade school, younger grade schooler, and it's just like, wow,
Yeah, you
you
said it
know?
right.
Yeah.
And the struggle is real.
Mhm.
Because school is one small part of everything. You know, it we're in a I'm not even gonna say in the middle. Who knows? We're
Yeah,
in
we just in
knee
it.
deep in a pandemic.
Yeah.
So, and undoubtedly, many of our students have lost loved ones,
Yeah.
not just with the pandemic that we know is global, but even just living in the hood sometimes with the violence, which is a story for another day, a very important story. But
Mhm.
even so, add that on to the stress of this unseen virus that had taken so many lives, even Philadelphia. So that takes a mental toll. The racial unrest that we are currently experiencing. So school is what it is to many of them,
Yeah.
even the youngest ones. Parents that are all of a sudden no longer working, and now everyone's home for extended periods of time. It's so there's um, mental anguish, if I could use that strong of a word, mental issues that we may have to navigate through.
Mhm.
But yeah, you said it right. Sometimes the younger ones don't even know how to express. So it comes out in their behavior at home. It comes out in the extra fighting among their siblings if there are
Mhm.
siblings in the house. Maybe even rebellion. So yeah, it's complex.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
complex.
Absolutely. Earlier we were talking earlier in the week, and I think Mike used the word exposure. It has definitely exposed a lot of behaviors. It's exposing a lot of aggressions. It's exposing a lot of lack thereof in the home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're fortunate to come from educated families, but unfortunately everybody does not.
Hmm.
So it's just a pandemic all across the board,
Absolutely.
not just with this virus.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
all a pandemic. It's all just like
Everything. You said that
everything.
absolutely correct. You said that right. And it has exposed food insecurity. You didn't
Yes.
realize just how much many of our students depend on the meals that are served at school. I wrote a piece for earlier in the spring about it for online magazine. Food insecurity, the gap in access to technology and the internet. We assume that because, and we, including me, assume because many of the kids have phones that they have access to the net, and that
Yes.
might not have been the case, you
Mhm.
know, or that because they're so technologically savvy that they know how to navigate the educational tools
Yeah.
that we're now providing them, and that might not be the case all the time. So Michael said it right, and you reinforced it just now.
Yeah.
It exposed a lot, especially the racial disparities in these exposures,
Exactly.
which yeah. Um, yeah,
That's a
it,
horse and a horse
yeah,
of a whole
yeah.
another color. Yep, absolutely.
Indeed, indeed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we wanna play a little game here at the Vibe Show. I like to keep it fun and interactive.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I know a little bit about you, not much, right? I
Okay.
know you like Tyler Perry movies.
The earlier ones.
The
The
earlier
earlier
ones,
ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the earlier
Yikes.
ones. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're gonna go with the earlier ones. One gotta
Okay.
go.
Okay. All right.
One. All right, here we go.
Mhm.
A Family That Prays,
Okay. Yeah. Mhm.
Diary of a Mad Black Woman,
Mhm.
Daddy's Girls,
Mhm.
or A Fall from Grace.
Okay. So I think this. I didn't see a fall from grace. so
Okay. Okay.
so I guess if I had to pick one for now, the one that I don't know about,
It would
uh,
have to be
a fall from grace, because I missed that one, unless that's a newer one. Unless that's a new one that I didn't see yet.
yeah,
Not so
it's
much.
a newer, yeah, it's
Okay.
newer.
But if I had to pick one from the first three, um, you said Daddy's Little Girls, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, The Family That Prays.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. Those Family That Prays. I think I probably, if I had to pick one.
Really?
It was
That's my
good.
favorite
I mean,
movie of him of all times. Like, that's the one. To me,
yeah.
that's the
So
one.
I went racial. I ain't gonna lie. I went racial because the other ones are majority black. So if I had to
Oh.
choose one, if I had to choose one. Sorry, I don't want nobody to think that I'm,
You based
but
it off of color.
everybody else is. They're all
can't.
good because the Family of Praise was excellent. They all were excellent. But if I had a gun up to my head, um,
It would
then
be that one. Okay.
yeah.
So
Because
I
Robin
know you
Givens was perfect in there. Robin
it
Givens did the thing.
was.
It
It was
really
so
was.
good. That was
Yes.
the one for me. It was that one.
Hmm.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you got into it a little bit, but give us a little bit of background and why, I'm asking you these questions and what kind of makes you the one to be able to answer. Give us a little bit about who you are.
One of the ones, because
One of the
everyone brings
ones.
a different perspective. All right. So the name, Steve Fleming. This is my 14th year in education in the
Mhm.
classroom. So proud to be a Philadelphia public school teacher for 14 years now. 10 of which were at the elementary level. John B. Kelly, I have no problem saying the schools. John B. Kelly on the southwest side of Germantown. Now I'm on the east side of Germantown at Martin Luther King High School. Professionally taught sixth grade for a number of years at King, mainly ninth. Last year 10th, this year juniors and seniors in the communications class, dual
Okay.
enrollment. Um, Went to Temple for education, went to Cabrini for education, came out of Drexel with the doctorate a couple years back, in education, the EDD. Yepers. Certified reading specialist. So that's some of my professional stuff. I love teaching and learning. I love advocating for public education. I'm a very, very strong proponent of public education. No, it's
Absolutely.
not perfect. However, it is accessible to everyone. Um, the nature of public schools. So I will advocate. I'll advocate. I will march. I will rally, email, protest. I'm out there. Um, Black, Christian, um, yeah, preacher of the gospel. I will put that out there. I don't say it all the time because I'm nobody looking at you different because you're a preacher. If you can't tell that something's different about me because I got the Lord on the inside, there ain't no point in saying, "Oh, I
Trying to
preach."
post here, put it
But
out
I,
there.
but I do since I
Hmm.
was a teenager. Yep, 27 years saved. Thank God for the water baptism. Come on, in Jesus' name, filled
In
up with the
Jesus'
precious
name.
gift of the Holy
Hey,
Ghost.
hey.
So that is the huge part of what guides me is the Lord, and I love Him. Yes, we've messed up along the way, but God has been a restorer and a keeper,
Yes.
and all of us, and I'm sure all of us have that same testimony.
Answer if it had
Come on here, that's us.
not
I'll
been.
leave the singing to you. I'm not even
God,
about to embarrass myself on this here live. No, ma'am. Thank God for
so,
Jesus.
one thing, like in our conversation, so many things came out. So it's like, like that thousand tongue thing, like I don't even know where to start. It's so many topics, so many questions, so many things we can pull out. But one thing that we did talk about, and it didn't hit me. I don't work in the classroom anymore, but I do still service children.
Mhm,
Um, children with learning disabilities
mhm, mhm, mhm. Yes.
trying to they already have a disability and whatever that may be, right,
Mhm.
on top of virtual learning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, that was one of my main concerns
Yes.
earlier on when they shut down everything. Um, so my thinking has evolved in terms of the closures and all that because in the beginning I was not a huge proponent of it for a lot of different reasons. The meals and those who have IEPs
Mm.
for whatever reason. But yes, I think I don't think we've seen the full magnitude of how much that is a challenge.
Mhm.
So in special education, there are two categories, if I could use that word, of disabilities: high ink disabilities and low ink. So any special ed teachers they kind of know and they can chime in on the chat, I guess. But the high ink are the ones are your ADHD, your ODD, so oppositional defiance disorder.
Mhm.
Um, some may consider even autism, depending on where you are on the spectrum, could
Yeah.
be considered, I guess, high ink. And high ink refers to the frequency at which we see it. Low
Mhm.
ink, those who have multiple disabilities, perhaps they're blind,
Wow.
perhaps they're deaf, experiencing, hard of hearing, etc. Those types, perhaps they're hospitalized. So yeah, a computer may not be, for several hours too, the best solution to meet their educational needs.
Mhm.
Yet at the same time, there's limited interaction that we can have because of the prevalence of this virus. So we're in a bit of a pickle here,
Yeah.
ensuring that the those who are serviced through our certified special education teachers get the services that they need. Now,
Mhm.
shout out to them, because they are doing a yeoman's job in attempting to meet their needs through a screen, you know. But those who, and I've witnessed it firsthand. I've seen it. I've worked with our special education team at
Mhm.
Martin Luther King. We work very closely together because I'm on the English side, um, and we have a great core of educators over there. But yeah, I'm think of those who need occupational therapy, physical therapy, because many of those supports are written into their IEPs.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know how those need to be met. That's not to say that they're not, but from where I sit, from my view, I think that is a huge, huge challenge right now. And I'm
Yeah.
sure parents would agree. I'm sure parents
Of
would
course.
agree with that.
Of
Absolutely.
course.
Hmm.
It's a huge question mark because again, I think that, the move was made because we had to shut everything down. But of course it wasn't thought through. Like we just
Not at
had
all.
to throw
Hmm.
something together to keep
Not at all.
everybody safe, whatever
And
that is.
In Philly, it was 2 months before we provided any structured instruction. So we left March 13th, and it wasn't until May 4th. And I'm not faulting the district. I know some of my colleagues might disagree with me there, but this was all new, and not everyone had access to technology. So now you're
Exactly.
running trying to get thousands of laptops. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we need to be online. Ugh, Comcast, with all your money, can you help us out?
Yes.
So took 2 months, whereas smaller districts, more wealthier districts, um, already had the infrastructure in place, um, and so could go immediately. Whereas in Philly, and if to pull it off in 2 months, and like I said, some of my colleagues, my activist colleagues might get on me, but to pull it off in 2 months, I think Philadelphia did an okay
Yeah.
job getting at least most students what they needed
Mhm.
in a couple of months, so we could provide something starting on May 4th.
I would say that for it to be such a movement because it was a mass movement. It wasn't just like a
Absolutely,
couple of schools. So
absolutely.
for it to be 2 months,
Hmm.
kudos to the Philadelphia School District for being on point
Yeah.
because it didn't happen. But y'all could have just been getting it together
You're
just
absolutely
now.
right. You said that absolutely correctly. Hmm.
Just now, y'all could have just been getting. So like we talked a lot about the cons, right? But what about the pros, if any? Like what
Hmm.
about the pros of virtual learning? Do you think our kids when we go back to our normal whatever that may be,
Hmm. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
how prepared do you think that we'll be for this new normal with this new order if we have the same president or if we go back to if we get a new president if we get a new president
My
how
heart.
how is that yeah I don't know right that tasted nasty saying it but it is
But
what it is
it
like
is what it
you
is,
really
right?
got to brace yourself because it
Just in case.
just in case.
Hmm.
How is this preparing our children for
Hmm.
the future?
Right. So that's a good question. One benefit is that regarding the coronavirus, everyone is home and safe,
Mhm.
prayerfully. So from that perspective, that's a plus, that we're not interacting as much and possibly spreading, asymptomatically and whatnot. So that's a plus. Um, Another plus could be, one, if we had to do this again, we are
Well,
better prepared.
we're ready. Yeah.
We know that if, because the school district is still talking about going back soon,
Okay.
FYI, in November, so that's like kind of next month or perhaps December. But if we had to shut down again, I think we have the infrastructure, that we have a better infrastructure than we had
Hmm.
before.
Hmm.
So that's a plus. Two, or three, or whatever number I'm on right now, I think I'm three. Um, I think the students have navigated some online tools now that they did not have to before.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers, I'm sure, familiar with Jamboard and Padlet and whatever else is out there. Google Docs, but perhaps they never used it before. The Google Suite and the different applications that come with the Google Suite. Teachers are now getting better, adept at using the technology, because the unspoken learning curve is that just because we're teachers does not mean we all knew how
Maneuver,
to
yeah.
navigate these tools. We've seen it
Mm-hmm.
firsthand. And I'm sure it's not at all unique to King. If somebody's been teaching for a number of years and have never had to use the technology before, that was a huge, huge learning curve. So the teachers will be better prepared. Um, and then I think, and I'm not a psychologist by no stretch, but I think this has also kind of helped us as teachers and the students kind of get to know themselves a little bit better. You're forced to kind of be with yourself. You kind of know what you're more grateful for that you weren't before, those relationships that now perhaps those little things don't matter anymore. In the
Absolutely.
sense, okay, I appreciate you because you're my friend. I
Mhm.
don't ever want to go again 10 months without seeing my friend, or
Yeah, yeah,
hugging my
yeah.
friend. So I think interpersonal relationships might be stronger. Um, so yeah, those are just some of off the top of my head, some of the pros that could come out of this. Hmm.
So parents, I just want to ask, I don't know how many parents, because I can see from the Zoom, but parents, if you're watching, do you believe the teachers now? Like, do you believe us now?
That's the
I
question.
once was a teacher, not anymore, but do you believe when we send y'all
We
notes
wasn't
home?
lying. We
We not
wasn't
lying
lying.
on your kids, miss.
And my favorite one is my child would never. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, they whatever. They
Yeah,
always.
and I've told parents, I see the kid at school when they're with their friends. Ma'am, I don't mean no harm, but you see the one that's very, very respectful, and that's nice. I see the one that you don't see. So I would like to introduce you to your child.
To your child, do you believe us
Child, parent,
now?
parent, child.
It wasn't me. I don't have it out for Taquisha. I don't have a
Yes,
horse in the
yes,
race either way. She a mess, miss.
yeah. Oh, Taquisha.
Oh,
Yes.
Taquisha. You
Oh,
know,
yes.
but this is definitely, like you said, it makes you get with your everybody, not just
Hmm.
teachers, everybody, the kids,
Hmm. Yes,
parents. You kind of had, this is a opportunity for you to come in and kind of
absolutely.
hone in and take responsibility and take ownership and open your eyes,
Hmm.
open your heart, right?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely. Hmm.
everything that you got to be more open. You can't ignore it anymore.
Hmm.
You can't like just pass it off and send it back to school and just hope it go
Right,
away
right,
and give
right.
it to Mr. Fleming and Mr. Fleming or Miss Fleming. You can't do that anymore. Now
Right.
you got to play a major part, bigger
Hmm.
part than ever before in
Absolutely.
how your children is learning and how they're taking, education in.
Right, right.
It's a different ball game.
It is, and I'm sure parents are now realizing it's, if they didn't already know it, just how, you said it right, just how even behavior aside, the journey to learning, the transmission of knowledge. Yeah, and then many parents grew up in a time where we talk about the new math. We say new math all the time, and it seems like every year the math is changing. Even though 1 plus 1 has always been 2 and will always be 2, now what's her name? Taquisha. Taquisha has 15 different ways to figure out how and explain why 1 plus 1 equals 2. Yeah, whereas we're just put 2. Yeah, so
And that's
it
not going to
is
be the
different.
answer anymore. That's not going to be how
Nope,
she get the answer anymore,
nope,
right?
not at all.
I was
Not at all.
last year, I think it was, yeah, last year before I transitioned to where I am now, I work for Turning Points for Children, one of the coolest. But
Hmm.
last year I was at Cheltenham Elementary, and
Mm-hmm.
I did the before school and after school program.
Hmm.
And I tell you, every Wednesday, the parents were up at the school getting tutoring on how to help their
Yeah,
children with
yeah,
homework.
yeah, 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 yep. Yep. And that's it's very real too. It's a learning. So we talked about the learning curve for students and teachers, but absolutely for parents.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, especially if you were, So let me go back to English. If you were sounding out the words, or in math, if you were just simply carrying the one. Oh, there will be no carrying of the one in 2020, unfortunately. Depending on the teacher, it may be a way that a student can,
Yeah.
regroup and whatnot. But nope, it's not just the response. How did you get it? And it has to be an essay, a 5 point.
Mm.
It's different. If that's beneficial, that's a whole discussion for another day. I don't know. I think a lot of this comes from the mainstream. Wink, wink. Um, Whereas, once they get to life, they're not explaining a whole lot about how they got the answer. They're just making sure they got the correct change when they come from the poppy
Absolutely.
store.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not giving an essay to Poppy or Mommy behind the John at all
And all,
about the
yeah.
change.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. So let's play another game.
Gotcha. Games are good.
Games are good. All right.
Hey,
So one gotta go. We're gonna take it to church now.
all right.
All right. So preachers. One preacher gotta go. And I like them all. Everybody know Jake's is my favorite. But I don't care if you say Jake's. It's cool
So
because everybody
so
knows
I
Jake's.
don't. I'll play
All
the game. I don't listen
right,
to a
all
whole lot of
right.
people though. But go ahead.
One gotta go. One gotta go. Noel Jones, TD Jakes, Michael Todd, Steve Furtick.
Lexus, I don't be listening to nobody. I go. I listen to old Todd tapes. Um. All right. So I don't know. Let me just. I'm gonna go TD Jakes.
You just gonna say TD Jakes because you
Just
just
because
gonna
you said that's exactly why. Yeah, I don't listen to nobody. And that's the truth. I ain't even trying to be deep. Anybody, I don't listen to nobody. I really don't.
not even Steve Furtick.
I don't listen to nobody. I, I really.
You might like Michael Todd.
So I'm gonna look these people up.
You might
I,
like Michael Todd.
uh,
You might like Michael Todd. You
so
might
I'm gonna
like
look up
Steve
Michael.
Furtick too.
All right, but yeah, and I'm in no judge because I don't know him. So yeah, so good. This will be saved. So I'll run back this tape and go
Yeah,
look them
you
up.
might like them. You might like them. So you said in your a little bit when you were talking about yourself, you are an advocate for literacy.
Uh, that's one of them. Yeah, public schools in general, but literacy that's my heartbeat. English. I'm an English guy. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Mm,
So with literacy or the lack thereof in the
mm,
home with families in general, mom, dad, grandmom, everybody,
mm,
um, what would you say would be a way to kind of get everybody incorporated or help everybody out with the lack thereof?
mm, Gotcha. So the first thing I would do is focus on not the deficit, but on what students, parents, families bring to the
Mm-hmm.
table. I think educators, the general we kind of look, especially I'm coming from a framework of working with black kids, black children of color. We have this deficit paradigm. We kind of look at what they don't have. True, there is a gap, but what do they bring? They bring
Right.
at least an interest in something. Because I'm learning at the high school level that there's this hatred for reading, a deep-seated disdain for reading, and
Wow.
being a reader, I hate to see that. So one thing I would suggest: one, allow the kids to read whatever they want. Any teachers on the line, let them read. And I know the districts don't like that. I don't care what the district doesn't like. We are the teachers in the classroom. We are getting to know these students. Let them read whatever they want, because they already hate it. So if they can at least read whatever, I don't care the levels. Don't talk to me about, grouping books in categories in terms of readability and all that. No, let them read whatever they want. We'll
Mm-hmm.
get to the parts where, they going to read things that they don't want to read because we have to assign it. But if there's time, or even if there isn't time, make time to
Mm-hmm.
allow the students to read whatever they want. At home, make it a family thing. If they see parents reading, older siblings reading, no matter what it is. Get the Bible, get, whatever religious text. So if the different religions on the line, read that, read the magazines, turn on the subtitles on the movies. Some of my students hate that because I always put them on. Oh, no, we don't watch a film without subtitles. No, they always go on. Um, uh, yeah, just make it a family affair, and even
Yeah.
carve out some time. Our parents made us read for 30 minutes every day.
Mhm.
At the time, I hated it. But looking back, I'm like, what? Yeah, yeah, because we
Yeah.
have to read. And unfortunately, and every year I start off the year in my bag on the first day of school, definitely with some black stuff. But in regarding literacy, I said, they used to say of us, if you want to hide something from a black person, put it in the
Put it in the
book.
book.
I said, that's not going to be the case in this class at all, because we're going to discover everything that they want to keep hidden from us.
Mhm. Mhm.
So no, crack open a book. And like I said, now, you have your standards in terms of the content. We're not just any old thing, especially you're not going to let a 5-year-old, you know, read it or
Something
look.
inappropriate.
There we go. That's how we're going
Yeah.
to keep that. But other than that, let them read whatever they're doing, because there are going to be
But
plenty of times where they're not going to read things that they want, where they're
mhm,
going to
that,
read things that they don't want, is what I meant to say.
that game that they've been dying for.
Mhm.
What's the rules to read me the rules?
Yeah. Something simple as
How
that. Yeah,
that
absolutely.
PS5,
Hmm.
how you hook it up, read the
Yeah,
instructions.
yeah,
Get something
absolutely.
like that, something that they're interested in.
Yeah, the back of the cereal box that we read at
Yeah.
breakfast every
Mhm.
time we had breakfast. Read the
Yeah.
back of the cereal box, because literacy doesn't have to be this set time over here.
Right.
Incorporate it in your day. When they pull, when they're looking at the McDonald's sign, yay, yay! Especially their younger kids. Now, if they're 17 and they're looking at the McDonald's sign, say, "Oh, I think that's McDonald's." That's a problem, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. But yeah, little things. I mean, if they point out words, celebrate the fact that they're pointing
Yes.
out words. That's a T. Yes, it is a T.
Yes, it
If you
is.
see a teenager even reading text, I know we don't want to, but it is composing writing. It
Yes.
is reading. Now, encourage them. Say, oh, I see you on your phone a lot. Why don't you take a look at some of these blogs? Now we're taking a little step further, and maybe we'll make our way back to books.
Okay.
Things like that. Hmm.
Okay. So draw them in slowly by
Yeah,
what already entices them, and then it'll
absolutely,
grow into
absolutely.
something else. That's a good tactic.
Yeah,
So
and
parents, if you listening and you have children who are just refusing to read, just not into it, I don't know what to do. Here it is.
hmm
What are they interested in? Whatever, whether if it's video games, let them read the back of the games. Let them read the names of the players. Let them read how to hook up the joystick or whatever. Is that what they call it? The controller. How to listen. Let them read what they're interested in, and then let it grow from there, and it'll grow from
Absolutely.
there.
It will definitely
That's a
grow. Let me
great
plug in.
strategy.
Townsend Press has townsendpress.org, I forget. It's a publisher. Cheap, inexpensive. I'm not using the word cheap. Inexpensive books. So if your teenagers have ever read the Bluford series, Townsend Press, $2 a book, really, $2 a
Oh
book,
wow.
and at Townsend Press. So I push Townsend. They have um just go, yeah, townsendpress dot either com or org, I don't remember, but you'll see it. You Google Townsend Press, the publisher, $2 a book. You can't beat that. You can't beat
Wow.
that. So
Okay.
yeah, go for it. And high interest, not just the fact that they're inexpensive books, but high interest reading material on there, and some old classics too, stuff that we read when we were
Awesome.
in high school. $2. Yep.
Awesome.
I'm not getting
Awesome.
paid for this, so let me just put that
Yeah,
out
not a shameless plug
there.
at all. Like we
Yeah,
just really want to like
yeah,
empower our
absolutely.
community and like
Mhm.
put the parents on. Like, hang in there, mom and dad. Hang in there, grandma and grandpa.
Yeah,
It's
it's
all.
gonna be all
It'll
right.
be well. Hang in there. Hang in there.
Yes, yes.
So, like, where can you send parents who are kind of struggling as a resource for extra tutoring or whatever they may need? Do you know of any resources that we may need here in the community to kind of
Right.
back up what we're implementing at home?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. So, pre-pandemic, yes, um, I knew quite a few. What everyone's doing now, I don't know. So
Hmm.
I will say the School District of Philadelphia, if you go to their website, they have resources for families, philasd.org. Um, and then I would listen and things like this, put it out there on Facebook. Listen, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. People on the socials probably more now anyway. um Churches, I'm sure, doing some virtual things. I think I don't want to, well, I think one of our sister churches, I don't want to get the information incorrect, so I'm not going to say the name of the church, but I believe they have an academic program. I could look it up and then maybe comment under this later. But so the school districts, go to your school district's websites. Undoubtedly they will have resources. Talk to the teachers, email
Yes.
the teachers. Listen, because now we're kind of forced to kind of find extra. So
Hmm.
email the teachers. Where can I find X, Y, and Z? Um, the public library, they're online. Absolutely, go for it. Um, so those are some right off the top of my head, and you might not find the answer there, but a link to your answers
Okay.
on your school district's websites, your free libraries websites, and then social media is a huge. It's huge. Just put it
It is a
out there.
great tool.
Let people respond. Absolutely.
Hmm.
hmm
Hmm.
Facebook groups, parent groups. They're out there
Yeah.
on the book. So yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
One thing that I noticed through all of this, um, like I say it almost every show that I do, the pandemic has been a curse, but it's also been 100% a gift.
hmm
It's been a blessing to a lot of people, and I do see that home and school thing kind of like coming full circle and becoming a community. Like teachers
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
talking to parents more than ever before, right?
Yeah.
Kids talking to parents more than ever before. Kids
hmm
talking to teachers more than ever before. Is really like coming full circle. So it's
Yeah.
it's really forming that community, that
hmm
village that we needed. We kind of needed this. We
Yeah.
needed
Yeah.
this. It was
Or
like all these separate entities, so we needed
yeah,
this.
indeed, or a revisiting of
Yeah.
that village.
Yep.
But yeah, you said it absolutely correctly.
Yep. So we're almost done here, but I know a couple of months back when we were in the middle of our huge social unrest, and we still are,
Mhm.
you did a little bit of marching. Like you
Oh,
you you
absolutely.
you were
A lot of
tell
bit of
us a
marching.
little bit about that because I feel like we said it earlier in the week. Not so much. We're like writing history. Like we're
Mhm.
literally making like we are Martin Luther King, right?
Yes, we
We
are.
are Rosa Parks. Like it's
Mhm.
no longer reading about her, reading about him. We are.
Absolutely. We will be the ancestors that the future
Yes,
generations will speak of.
yes.
Absolutely. So yeah, so I am very, very much involved and interested in social justice movements. I do choose wisely, but very much so. Black lives do matter.
You matter.
And
Yes,
I
they
know there
do.
are a lot of opinions about that. And
Hmm.
that's fine. It's okay. Divergent thoughts are welcome. I'll listen, but Black lives do matter.
Yes, they do.
So in some of what we participated in, yeah, I was out there marching nine weekends in a row from May to how many ever 9 weekends, but I think I stopped in July at
Okay.
some point in different groups, different types. Um, Out there with some lawyers, they were doing it one time. The socialists were out there another time, and just families gathering another time, and musicians another time. So different groups of different organizations organized. But yeah, out there and safe. Had the mask,
Hmm.
which is, I think, is, if I could just say, is one difference between the BLM marches and the open up the states and liberate them all marches.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
there has been research done and reports written about how that we in general there hadn't been an increase in coronavirus cases as a result of BLM marches. Just to
Wow.
throw that out there for people.
Just to.
And I'm just saying, because we were masked, we were wise, but even if we were willing to still go out there because we believe in the movement. But in addition to that, because some people say, oh, I don't feel like I'm doing that because I'm not out there. Nope, don't feel like that at all. I've said since the beginning, it takes many ingredients to bake a cake.
Mhm.
So between marches, letter writing, emailing, talking among family and friends, talk, talking among enemies, because
Mhm.
yeah, we can talk in our circles and we're just reinforcing a lot of what many of us agree with. There is some disagreement because living black isn't living monolithic. So we're not just one school of
One.
thought, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's all right. All right. Some people drunk the Kool-Aid and others, but anyway, but um but even to have these conversations with those who don't think like us, because
Yeah.
they're the ones that need to be convinced. Your legislators. Um, when I stopped being out there as much, I committed myself to calling my two Pennsylvania senators every day. And I started August 13th ish and kind of stopped a couple of weeks ago. Every day for like a month and a half or so.
Wow.
Um, and I had four major things that I wanted them to consider approving in the U.S. House, in the U.S. Senate. But yeah, the many ingredients to bake a cake. So don't feel it just because you're not out there marching that you know you're missing out on anything. Yeah, it is fun, you know, in the sense of I shouldn't say fun. It is, you feel a sense of camaraderie,
Yeah.
togetherness, purpose, etc.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of things people do. Post these people's names. Breonna Taylor, post her name,
Yes,
so we don't
absolutely.
forget about her.
Yeah.
Post Daniel Prude, so we don't forget about him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Post Ahmaud Arbery. Post Elijah McCain. You know, some of these we already forgot already because there's so
Yeah.
many.
Yeah.
Post Trayvon Martin
Also.
because his killer was let go. You know, so little things like that. Little things like that.
Absolutely.
Many
Absolutely.
ingredients: sugar, flour, milk, vanilla. It takes all of these ingredients to make a
And you
cake.
gotta turn up the,
Heat. That what we said the
gotta
other day.
turn it up.
Absolutely,
Gotta
absolutely.
turn it up.
Cause ain't nothing like just the batter. The batter not gonna do nothing. You got to put that thing in the oven. You got to
Absolutely.
hold our politicians' feet to the
To the
fire.
fire.
Period.
Absolutely.
Point blank. Full
Absolutely.
stop. Absolutely.
And that's one thing that we talk about all the protesting and marching and all of that, but we never really talk about talking to our opposers, like people who oppose us. And
Absolutely.
I think that's important.
That's very important. And I've
Never
done it. It's
had
very
those
important.
conversations. And you,
Hmm.
even in relationships, you gotta have the hard conversations. You gotta
You
talk about
must.
stuff you don't want to talk about. I really don't want to talk about this, but the only way we're gonna keep on going, the only way we'll progress and
Hmm.
try to make a little bit of a change is if we talk about the hard stuff. So we
Absolutely.
gotta confront those hard, them giants. We
Absolutely.
got to have those conversations. So I believe that our community leaders need to set up more forums where we
Hmm.
can have that dialogue because it just has to happen.
Hmm. And don't wait for them either. And don't wait for them.
Yeah,
Even platforms like this or your
yeah,
colleagues, you know, you have a lot of thoughts among our colleagues in the school district of Philadelphia and teachers across the country.
yeah.
And I can recall at least one well, it wasn't hard for me at some point. One easy conversation that probably was hard, maybe, with one who believed that what was told to me, she didn't believe a student could ever move forward or something, whatever she told me some years ago, that
Wow.
she'll always stay where she is. And I had some words. I had a lot of words
Yeah,
in an email that I sent to all of my colleagues, just in case anybody else had this same line of thinking. And there was a lot of issues with around that email that Flim sent out. I don't know who he think he is. I'm a brother protecting this little girl right here. Because if you don't
exactly.
think she could do more than what she's doing right now, then you're always going to give her 1 + 1 = 2. And that's a
Yep.
problem for me.
You'll never
That's an
challenge
issue.
her. Yep.
That's an issue. Nope. Get out of teaching.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, this is another level of exposing the good teachers, right? The teachers that care, and then the teachers that feel like your kid's really never going to be nothing anyway. So like, it's an exposure. So we have to wake up and we have to address this global pandemic, not just this bacteria, not just this infection, but it's a global pandemic, that's affecting everybody in every single kind of way, even in education.
Mhm.
Um,
Indeed.
so yeah, I am elated that you came.
Sure.
Thank you so,
Absolutely.
so much for coming. Oh, so you said philasd.org.
That's a school district website.
Okay.
Yep.
School District of Philadelphia, philasd.org. I'm sure you parents already know it because you use it and you are keeping in
Hmm.
contact. But just in case you didn't, Phila, PHILAS, school D district.org. Okay. I have a few announcements really quickly, and I don't have my paper in front of me, but um, there is a coat drive. I am so sorry. The Thompson family, Talia Thompson, they are doing a coat drive next month. If you guys would like to participate or make a donation, please DM me Send me a message, DM me, and let me know which way you would like to donate, and I will make the information accessible to you. I'll post it again tonight. I'll post a flyer on my Insta Snap and also on my page. Again, if you guys are interested in going to Linvilla Orchard, the tickets are $7. October 17th, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great event. I got about, I think 20 people going, 25 people. So that's the hayride right there. That's just us. And that's it. Once again, I want to give a shout out to the Fleming family. They all weren't able to be with me tonight, but I am thankful for Stephen Fleming, Dr. Stephen Fleming, joining me tonight. Join me next week. We're going to talk a little bit about relationships. Yeah. You don't want to miss it. Peace out.